So these two pieces of metal here, they started life as a piece of 30mm by 30mm square bar, and I've machined them down to 1 inch, and I did that by using the face mill on Bridgeport. It did take a little bit of time, but we got there in the end. Hindsight, should have probably bought a piece of 1 inch by 1 inch square bar, but you know how it goes. You always try and do it with what you've got without spending any money. Then I faced off one end, turned them around. Using the edge finder, I found the edge of the end that I've just machined and machined them down to the required 4.5 inch. Yeah, I think they've turned out rather well. Now the drawing says that they should be 3.5 inch long, but these are actually 4.5 inch, because speaking to a few of you out there that have Tinks, you need a little bit extra each end, because these are the bodies for the die blocks. Well, the main body. We've then got to do 2 sides, which I've already started in the milling machine already, and I cleaned the edges up. There's 4 pieces here. I cleaned all the edges up using some Scotch-Brite pads in my angle grinder, which gets rid of the scaly bits. Put them in the vise, and just machined one end or one side of them off, so I can turn them over and do the other side. And I'm using my carbide cutter, which, now having power feed on the X axis of this wonderful machine, it don't half cut like butter when you're giving it some welly. I'll show you. Now it doesn't actually matter at the moment because these are way too wide for what we need. All I'm trying to do is get rid of this scabby edge here so it clamps nicer in the vise, because we've got to cut a notch out. Now, this being a carbide cutter, we can be quite generous with the cuts. Like so. Now all I can say is I should have fitted the power feed on this machine quite early on, because it doesn't half make it nice, and it's really smooth. So what I've just done is I've just skimmed one side of these plates, basically to give us a nice flat edge. Nothing exciting, just face mill, cut across it all, job done, just like that time lapse. Right, so we've got one of these plates set up in the milling machine, and what we need to do is we need to put a slot at this side here to take this 1 inch square that we made for it to sit in. So using a carbide cutter, I'm just going to whiz through as quick as I can, and then I'll change to a face mill and do the very last bit with a face mill. So let's cut some stuff. And using a carbide cutter, I can up the feed on the new power feed. I should get through it quite quickly. Now it's just a case of keep going until we get to about 1/4 of an inch. So now we've got the majority of the meat cut out with the carbide cutter. We're now going to do the last few thou with the face mill so it's smooth all the way across. So I've just set this up, touching this, and I'm just going to give a quick skim across the top, and then I'll get some measurements, and then we know exactly how much we need to take off to get this to the right measurement. Right, I'll send it back over and then we'll get some measurements. That is a beautiful finish. You can tell I've just turned the tips round on that, because that is beautiful. Right, let's see how much we need to take off. Two thou. 2 thou. We're taking some up, but you can hardly see it. Half a thou off, that'll do us. That will do. Beautiful. Right, so now with that bit done, I've changed from the face mill to back to the carbide cutter, and I'm going to face off this edge here before flicking it round and getting it to length. So let's cut some of it. So first of all, we're going to find the end we've just machined. And then I'll use the DRO to find this end. It'll be about 1/8 of an inch, like I said, to take off. Right, that's that edge found. So now what we need to do is we need to move it over 10mm because we want it from that edge. So now that's set. When we move it over 4.5 inches, we know that's the 0. So I'll swap that tool back out. Put the carbide cutter back in. Right, so that's our, yeah, it's about 1/8 of an inch, something like that. So we'll begin machining that off. Right, we should be there. I think that looks close enough. Done. And eventually you'll end up with a whole collection of them. So what happens is they go this way with the 1-inch piece that we machined, and they go like that. Now yes, they are way too tall. We need to machine them down, but I've got to get a slot in for basically the die that slides up and down. So next is to get some holes in to bolt it all together. It's coming on nicely. Not bad if I do say so myself. Now if you do like what you're seeing on the channel at the moment and you haven't done already, then please do consider clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be notified when we next release one of these cracking videos. And don't forget to hit that like button, because that will help this video, like all my others, share around to like-minded folk who have exceedingly good taste in engineering, steam engines and all that good stuff. And if you've done all that and you'd like to support the channel even more, then how's about becoming a channel sponsor using the YouTube membership? Yes, and you could help support the channel and help us grow further with making lots of videos, and that would be fantastic. On with video. So with the edge finder, we have found the centre of here, and we are 1/2 inch from the back here, and then we're going to go across 1 1/4 and drill, and then come back to centre, and then again 1 1/4. And we're going to do it an 8mm hole. Right, 4 more of those to do, and the 2 1-inch ones. Done. So now we've got these machined, and they're a bit loose, aren't they? So we're going to make some pins to go in here. So I've cut myself some bits of stainless rod, got 4 of them here, and all I'm going to do is skim them down to length and put a thread on each end, and we're just going to put a couple of nuts on each side, and that'll hold it together. And I've gone with stainless because obviously all these holes are nicely reamed, so they fit perfectly. We do have more holes to put in the main bit, and we've got the slot to do, and we've got to trim it all down, but for now let's get these done. We can then at least hold it together, and you can see roughly what we're going to be aiming for. Right, so I want them about 57. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to skim one end, and then turn it round, measure it, turn it round, and machine off what's needs taking off. one end. Measure it again. Oh, so we've got about 1.6 mil to take off that. Right. Should be the right length. Should be, hopefully. Well, there was 57. Bang on! Right, I'll get them all to that length and then we'll look at putting a bit of a thread on. Right, so I've just marked a little mark here, drawn on with Sharpie and then just scribed it on where I want the die to come to on the end here. And I've gone to my collet block because I find that this is better at gripping small stuff like this and don't spin and then mark the rod. Well, like I said, I'm just going to take the edge of the die up to that line. Just about there. Somewhere there. Job done. I'll get the other end done and the other three and then we'll hopefully get it all together. So we're done. And these are going to fit in here like so. And then with our 45-degree edge here, sits against there. That goes in there. Put a washer on. I know what you're thinking. You're going to go, why have I put nuts on both sides? Because I've not decided yet whether to weld one set of nuts on. Now, off the shelf bolts, look how it wonky. Off the shelf bolts aren't as accurate as these ones that I've just made. Hence why I've made my own. Because we don't want this to move around. That goes like that. Like that, job done. And then you can end up with two of them like so. We may put dome nuts on, or I may put a weld round one side. Not decided. Not decided. But now we need to wait for the